In this stark and awesome land, that for 2,000 years has spoken only of death, there was once the stirring of life. In the region of the Dead Sea, there remain only the petrified rocks, the barren arroyos of accursed earth, a landscape of the moon. For a terrible destruction came down on this place, and only the mountains and the desert remain, the sole witnesses of a life that has vanished. These hills look down upon a city whose name became the eternal symbol of the wrath of the Almighty, the city of Sodom, destroyed because of the evil ways of its inhabitants, a dead city now, at the bottom of the Dead Sea. Yet one other name has come down through the centuries to distinguish this region, a name that equally strikes awe. This is also the region of Masada. In this very same land of maledictions, Masada is a symbol of the exaltation of which man is capable. Atop these cliffs, in a fortress built into the mountain, the last remnant of Jewish patriots held out during 3 years against the might of conquering Rome. In the end, 970 men, women, and children, Masada's entire last garrison, died of their own hands rather than submit to enslavement. After the self-sacrifice at Masada, during nearly 2,000 years, the Jews, scattered over the world, pledged in their hearts one day to bring back life to Masada, where death has reigned. They are doing it. The promise to Masada is being fulfilled in our time, fulfilled against every impossibility. Fittingly, the stuff of life is dredged out of the Dead Sea itself. As it cut its way down to this throbbing inferno, 1,300 feet below sea level, the Jordan River dragged from the earth a heavy concentration of minerals. Nothing can live in the salt sea. And yet these very same chemicals, when returned to the earth, will stimulate organic life. The water is led into drying pans. As the liquid evaporates in the sultry atmosphere, it leaves a deposit of crystals. From pen to pen, on the face of the receding water, the image of organic matter becomes more and more fantastic. After days and days of dehydration, a rich paste of potassium salts can be scooped from the pens. It is a world of machines that man has installed in this remoteness to help him obtain the vital chemicals of the Dead Sea. Then the paste is sucked up and conducted through a maze of pipes floating above the salt pans. Now a long journey begins, through a series of machines that progressively purify the material until a body of uncontaminated potassium chloride is obtained. Sometimes, due to a technical failure, a tank becomes clogged. In the intense heat, the material could solidify in a few hours. The salts would adhere to the tank. To avoid catastrophe, the broiling paste must be continuously stirred and pushed toward the evacuation pit. It can be done only in this way. Stoppage is broken. The mechanical flow resumes. The crystalline carnallite compound is washed, ground by this perpetual rotator. The carnallite continues on its way. It is kneaded, stirred, cleansed of almost every impurity. Now it is sylvite. There. The salt of potassium floats in flake form. And the final refinement produces the purest of potassium chloride. It is one of the 2 or 3 primordial substances whose coming together by chance or by purpose perhaps made possible the origin of life itself, so that suddenly, with the beginning of the world, the first cell became animated. And thus, the superhuman daily effort at the Dead Sea has brought out the primary material, the stuff of life, an indispensable component of the bloodstream necessary to every heartbeat. And after giving up its energizing minerals, the dead water returns to the Dead Sea. As though to emphasize the mysterious contrasts of the universe, pure living water flows in an abundant stream only a stone's throw from the salt sea. The source is known as the Fountain of David, and from this fountain life flows again into the desiccated earth along the Dead Sea. Under the shadow of Masada, some 40 young men and women have formed the kibbutz of En-Gedi. They had to clear out the rocks that covered the earth. 18 hours a day in the broiling heat, their bulldozers went back and forth, carving out fields. And now the tractors unceasingly circle between the mountains and the Dead Sea, cultivating the earth that is still covered with salt. They built a pipeline from the Fountain of David, and yard by yard they conquered the desert. They conquered the heat. They conquered their weariness, and they brought out the fruit of the earth. They created the miracle of a rich harvest in the desert. The Song of Songs of King Solomon chanted of the vineyards of En-Gedi, and the kibbutz of En-Gedi planted the vines anew. The vines grew, like an historic link, from one millennium to another, from today's En-Gedi to the days of Solomon and the days of Sodom. At the end of the day of labor, the body is exhausted. But in their determination to rebuild Israel, even from the limits of Sodom to the isolated boundaries of En-Gedi, every limit of fatigue is passed. After the day's work, there is simply peace regained. The kibbutz must be self-sustaining. The cattle feed on the produce of the field. and the men bake the bread they will eat. It is the last moment of their daytime community life. At night, each individual separates out into his own life. Then Atiki sings the chant of Masada, of the tragedy that suspended the life of the people of Israel for 2,000 years. When Romans ruled our land, Israel's revolt was crushed and Jerusalem was burned. With their wives and their flocks, the Hebrews went into the desert. Their long column marched on, day after day. Night after night, they stood guard on the ancient campsites of the Exodus. They reached the fortress of Masada, atop the broiling mountain that stands guard over the Dead Sea. And they closed the gates of Masada on themselves for a siege until eternity. A siege until eternity. The Romans harassed them, hidden among the desert canyon. 40,000 soldiers, the invincible legionnaires. On they come. They'll keep coming till they've exterminated the last of the Jews. They howl like insatiable dogs. From their mouths flows evil. In their hearts is only hatred. Their armies camp at the foot of the mountain. They enclose it in their jaws. They heap up rocks. They girdle Masada with a wall of starvation. And their sentinels march back and forth. But there on high, the Hebrews choose death over slavery. They kill their flocks. They kill their wives. They kill themselves. The Romans have won nothing but death. But after 2,000 years, 100 generations of exile, Israel's life stream flows again into the land of Israel. From the Dead Sea and from the dead earth, life has been won. This was the promise to Masada. It is fulfilled. The mountain of Masada has become the symbol of endurance. And every day from Israel's towns and villages, young people arrive bringing the gift of their fervor, their faith. For the children of Tel Aviv, of Haifa, for the children of Jerusalem, and of every settlement in Sharon, and every kibbutz in Galilee, this is the great pilgrimage of faith. It is the victory over 2,000 years in the desert. This was the promise to Masada.